Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Ma'am Dr. Anissa Astrid, STMPD as a lecturer, and all of my friends. Praise be to Allah who still give us the opportunity to meet in our seminar on research proposal class. So, I'm Nur Husliyah as a moderator, and the other three presenters are, next slide. Fadilatu Sabrina with student ID number 2020-2020-5063. Dewi Puspita with student ID number 2020-2020-5069. And Desiyana with student ID number 2020-2020-5064. And so, today we will present about qualitative research design. And the first material will be delivered by Dewi Puspita. For Dewi, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator, for this time. Okay, I will explain about qualitative research. So, qualitative research is a study that uses a qualitative approach. Qualitative approach is an approach that examines a case or a phenomenon that already exists in the field. And phenomenology, ethnography, case study research, grounded theory, and historical research are the 5 key subfields that fall under the umbrella of qualitative research. Okay, phenomenology. Phenomenological research is a qualitative study that attentively observes and listens to people's explanation and understanding of their experience. In qualitative research, a phenomenon may be perceived as something that exists and emerges in the researcher's awareness by employing certain methodologies and explanation of how the process becomes transparent and objective. Phenomenological research emphasizes finding, studying, and communicating the significance of occurrence, events, and their relationships with ordinary people in given context. Phenomena approach is included in a pure qualitative research. And the next is there is ethnography. Ethnography is a branch of the social science and humanities. Ethnographic study examines how people in a society use language to communicate. It also examines how language shape and function society. The characteristic of ethnography research. Ethnography research is a distinct ethnographic study has these traits. Okay, there is the characteristic of ethnography research. There are cultural themes. Ethnographic research focuses on developing culture and implementing it by a particular ethnic group. And the next is a culture sharing group. The second characteristic implies that ethnographic research can be carried out on two or more people with the same attitude, language, and behavior. And the next is based on field work. Data in ethnographic research is taken utilizing ethnographers going directly to the field or research location. And the next is description in ethnography. The description in ethnography contains a detailed description and explanation of what the object did during the research. And the next is context. The context in ethnographic research is the overall setting of the place, situation, or environment surrounding the cultural group under study. And the last is researcher reflexivity. This characteristic means that a conscious and open attitude towards the researcher's role will create a feeling of reliance shared between the person doing the study and the thing being researched. Okay, I think that's all for my explanation. Back to moderator.
Okay, thank you, Dewi Puspita, for your explanation. So we will continue to the next material. Uh, the next material will be conveyed by Fadilatu Sabrina. For Fadilatu Sabrina, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. The next is types of ethnographic research. A. Realist ethnography. Realist ethnography show objective condition in a cultural group report from a third-person point of view. The researcher will describe the fact in detail and report what is observed and heard from group participants while maintaining objectivity. And B, critical ethnography. Nowadays, critical ethnography is also popular. This critical ethnographic approach is research that tries to respond to ongoing social issues such as gender or emancipation, power, status quo, inequality of rights, and equity. Next slide, please. C. Case study. Case study research is a method used to find or investigate problems in depth about an individual group, institution, social movement, or even related to the phenomenon, context, and time. It means that the problem or phenomenon that occurs is limited in time and may not be the same in the future. Therefore, this case study research is closely related to the present situation. Next. Characteristic of case study research. The characteristic of good case study research have the following characteristic. First, viewing the object of research as a case or problem. Second, viewing case a contemporary phenomena. Third, don't base on the fact or existing facts. Fourth, using various data sources for research. And last but not least, using the appropriate theory as a guide or research reference. Next slide, please. D. Ground theory. Ground theory research examines core principles and guidelines to find or enhance a theory. Basic conclusion provide a theory is foundation. This grounded theory technique use observation and field study to collect data and compare categories, phenomena, and situation using inductive, deductive, and verification until the data was saturated. I think that's all. I return back to moderator.
Okay, thank you, Sabrina. So, uh, I will continue the next material. Next, historical method. Historical method study use historical fact and witnesses to recreate the past. This data can be found in historical documents, artifacts, verbal accounts, and credible life witnesses. Because it examines events that have passed, the hallmark of historical research is the time when phenomena are seen as development or change based on the time shift. Next. Uh, Next, participant in qualitative research. Qualitative research start with specific social settings, not a population. Qualitative study results are applicable to similar social settings, not the population. Qualitative research use research participant or informant instead of respondent. Uh, Qualitative research observe and interview social situation, specific, specialists, purposeful, thought and aims determine the interviewers. And qualitative research use purposive and snowball sampling. Data search are sampled with purpose, exploring the object or social situation under investigation will be simpler if the researchers understand what to expect. Next. Um, Next, qualitative data collection. The first one, interviews. Interviews collect research data, a dialogue that takes place between an investigator and a respondent is known as an interview. With or without an interview's guide, the interviewers and respondent exchange questions and replace together research data. These interviews are generally done singly or in groups to get useful information. Interviews can be technical implement. Interviews can be technically implemented systematically or not. The researcher created the interviews guide tool before conducting the interviews. Unsystematic, the researchers interviewed without a guide. Information technology now allows face-to-face interviews via telecommunications. Interviews provide in-depth information on a study topic. Next. Uh, in qualitative research, various interviews models are as follows. The first one, deep interviews. In deep interviews are have a familiar connection, thus the discourse is casual. In deep interviews are used to contextualize contemporary content construct in terms of people, event, action, sentiments, motives, response, and perception, degrees, and type of engagement. And next, interviews with general instruction. This type of interviews require the interviewers to develop a framework or outline of the subject in the form of interview instruction. And next, open standard interview. An open interview is an interview using a set of standard questions, namely questions with the exact wording, sequence, and presentation method for all interviewed informants. Next. Next, structured interview. In a structured interview, the interviewer states his problem and questions to task. This type of interviews aims to find out answer to hypotheses. Structured interviews are generally used if the entire research sample is considered to have the same opportunity to answer the question posed. Next, Unstruct, unstructured interview. Unstructured interview stress exceptions, deviations, unexpected interpretations, reinterpretations, phraseways, expert viewpoint, and solitary perspectives. And then semi-instructed interview, an open until ended interviews is underway. The research persons replace from further inquiries, which intensifies information meaning during the session. Next slide. Interviews guideline. interviews guidelines make an interview run effectively according to the plan prepared. The researchers need to develop an interview guide as a guide for the interviews. So the benefit of interview guidelines are the interview process went according to plan. The interview can collect answer from informant as this desired by the researcher. It is easier to researcher to classify the data, and next researchers concentrate more on submitting questions according to the focus of the study in research, and the next anticipating missed questions. Okay, I think that's all from me. The next material will be presented by Desiyana. For Desi, time is yours.
Okay, observation. Observation is a systematic and purposeful exploration of occurrence, especially with the eyes that may be examined afterward. The observation main goal is the description. The quality of research is determined by how far and deep the researcher understands the situation and context and describes it as naturally as possible. Next, documentation. Derives from the word document or written products. The term documentation technique refers to process for gathering data by documenting data that already exists. A data gathering approach that is utilized to track down past information is called the documentation method. Document pertaining to an individual or group of individuals, events, or events that took place in social contexts that are connected to the study topic. Next, focus group discussion. For FGD, techniques involves investigating a specific phenomena via the conversation of a group of people. The approach places an emphasis on the cooperative endeavors of the people who are involved in the phenomenon in order to arrive at a consensus. The basic goal of the focus group discussion approach is to acquire data interaction resulting from a conversation of a group of participants or respondents in order to increase the depth of information and expose various phases of a live occurrence in order to describe and explain this phenomena. Qualitative data analysis. One method of conducting data analysis that may be used to seek for requiring terms of patterns within a body of research is called thematic analysis. Stage of doing thematic analysis: first, understanding data; second, composing code; and the last, searching for terms. Data trustworthiness. The process of determining whether or not qualitative research is accurate and reliable is referred to as verifying the validity of the data. The concept of data trustworthiness covers two requirements for the degree to which the data are credible, transferable, dependent, and confirmable. Okay, back to the moderator.
Okay, that's all the presentation of our group. Thank you for your nice attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.